All right, sixth graders, this is the first day of semester exam review, and we're going to start with Unit 5 and work our way backwards. What you will need to do is follow along with me as we complete these notes together as a class, but we're doing it through a video so that you guys can work at your own pace. You can hit pause when you need to, etc. Please pay attention and please write everything that I write and do everything that I do, because there will be questions either at the end where you'll have to use what you wrote and answer the questions, or questions sprinkled throughout where you may have to stop and look at what you've done and answer the questions. So please pay attention and follow along. All right, we're going to start with what they have as number 6. And it says 11 of the 20 students in Mr. Gonzalez's science class are attending the field trip. What percent best represents the portion of the class that is attending the field trip? Okay, so we can represent our ratio as a fraction, or we can do it with the little colon. But the bottom line is, I'm probably going to deal with it as a fraction. 11 students out of 20 are attending the field trip, okay? And we want to know what percent best represents the portion of the class that is attending the field trip. So 11 out of 20 are attending, and that's what the question asks. What percent is that? Okay. I am going to show you a couple of different ways. One or two ways are different or are easier than some other ways. But you can do just 11 divided by 20, but that involves long division. But you can do it. And if I'm doing it, I expect you to do it. 20 will not go into 11. So we bring down a 0. 20 will go into 110 5 times. 5 times 20 is 100. We get 10 left over. You bring down another 0. Sorry, I'm in the typing. But 20 will go into 100 another 5 times. And then that divides out evenly and we don't have a remainder. So 0.55, what percent is that? Well, that's 55%. Now, if you're not fond of that way of doing it, then maybe you can look at this and go, hey, I have 11 over 20. What can I multiply both of them by to get my fraction to look like the percent fraction, because it needs to be over 100? Well, I look at 20 and I say 20 times 5 gives me 100. So let's do 11 times 5, and that gives me 55. Okay? So I can either do long division, which some of you may not love, or you can kind of like scale it up. Go from this fraction, which is over 20, to this fraction, which is over 100, which shows you the percent. Okay, just one more little thing. If there are 20 students in the class and 11 are going on the trip, then how many are not going or not attending the trip? Well, that's going to be 20 minus 11, and that gives you 9 students not attending. Okay? Also, what percent of students are not attending? Well, 100% is everybody, minus the 55%, which are going, and you get 45% of the students are not going, are not attending. Okay? All right, so that was just kind of, I don't know, bonus information, because that's not really what the question asks, but that is things that you can figure out from the information that they gave you. Okay, so in just a second, we're going to move to number 7. All right, number 7 says that Marvin has $1.45 in his pocket. What fraction is equivalent to the amount of money in Marvin's pocket? Okay, so like $1 is a 1. So this is going to be 1 and 45 100ths of a dollar, because there are 100 pennies in a dollar. So, and I have 45 cents for my fraction part. So I have 1 and 45 hundredths. I can break that down because you guys have now learned some divisibility rules. And I'm going to look at this. And I know that 45 and 100 are both going to be divisible by 5, because it ends, anything that's divisible by 5 will end in either a 5 or a 0. 45 divided by 5 gives me 9. 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. So if I wanted to give this fraction in lowest terms, it would be 1 and 9/20. Okay? We don't really talk about money that way, but that is equivalent to $1.45. Okay, number 7, we're going to add a little bonus content, and y'all are probably like, oh my gosh, groan. Could you take the 1 and 9/20 and make it into an improper fraction? Do you remember how to do that? You take the bottom, multiply by the whole number. So 20 times 1, 20 times 1 is 20, and then you add the top number. So 20 times 1 is 20, plus 9, 29/20 is equivalent to 1 and 9/20. Okay? This is a mixed number. This is an improper fraction. Okay? An improper fraction has a number in the numerator that's bigger than the denominator. It's top heavy. Okay? Bonus content. All righty, let's go on to number 8. All right, number 8 says, a stick measures 2 3/10 of a centimeter long. Write both the decimal and percent equivalent to the length of the stick. Okay, so this is cut off just a little bit. All right. So 2 3/10. Well, first of all, I'm going to take that fraction. So 2 is my whole number, so I'm just going to leave it. But I'm going to deal with the 3/10. Okay? I know, first of all, I can do long division if I want to do it that way. 10 won't go into 3. Bring down a 0. 10 will go into 30, and it will go 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. And I have nothing left over, and I've already passed the decimal, so I get to quit. So if I want to take this number and make it a decimal equivalent, it's going to be my whole number, which is 2, and then the fraction is equivalent to this decimal part. So it's going to be 2.3, okay? Because 2 plus the 0.3, 2.3, okay? So there's your decimal equivalent. Then here's what I can do to make a percent equivalent. Let's change this to an improper fraction. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 plus 3 is 23. 23 over 10. Okay? Now, remember, if we are going to do a percent, we like to have our fraction be over 100. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, hey, what do I multiply 10 by to get 100? Well, whatever that is, I'm going to multiply the top part by that same number. Okay, 10 times 10 is 100. 23 times 10 is 230. Okay? So that is your percent. 230%. Okay? Because remember, like up here, we wound up with 55 over 100, and so our percent was 55%. Down here, we wind up with 230 over 100, so our percent is 230%. Okay? Can you have percents greater than 100? Yes. Usually your quote whole is 100, but sometimes we get some like crazy growth of things. And yeah, you can have a percent over 100. So in this case, we did. Okay. So here's your decimal. Here's your percent equivalent. Those are all or both equivalent to this mixed number. Okay. And this right here, just a reminder, is equivalent also, but it was written as an improper fraction. Okay.